What's up, y'all? I'm Trey. Welcome back to I Have Questions. The question that we have today on our heads is, what do I do when I feel guilt? This gonna be a good one. Alright, so hear me out. A while back, before I was thought of, there was a group called H-Town. They wrote this song called Emotions, right? It went a little something like this. Okay, so look at that. Now, even way back when, in 1994, you can see how the emotions affected us. It can make us cry, it can make us sad, it can make us glad, or it can make us feel guilt and shame. But see, today, we're gonna put my friends through various scenarios to see how unlikely or likely they would believe they would actually feel or respond in these situations, based on the responses given, of course. Check this out.
I would pick B because I was so bad that I stood them up. So I feel like making plans to meet with them or like making up with them would leave our friendship on a better note, and I would have less guilt and feel bad less.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Option B seems like the most responsible action to take, especially to someone whom you've hurt, even if it was on accident. So it's better just to take accountability and make amends with that person instead of making excuses as to why you did what you did.
My answer is B. I would make it up to them as soon as possible because I just feel so bad.
My answer is B. I should make it up to them as soon as possible. I feel really bad for standing them up like that, so I tried to get them to accept my apology or reschedule.
If I was the friend who actually got stood up, I'd feel some type of way if it just went unacknowledged and my friend just was like ditched me and then didn't say anything about it. I don't know, I don't even want to know what would happen to me if my parents found out that I was hiding, that I broke something or whatever, and then later on you're just like prolonging the consequences. That's terrifying, so may as well just come clean.
My answer is A. This is making me nervous. I need to either get it fixed or come clean to my parents.
Mine would be like a combination between A and B, but with a twist. So like I would either tell on myself, like probably on accident, but I would still tell the truth about it.
So most likely I would try to come clean to my parents instead of getting it fixed.
But I would still tell the truth about it. Or I would hide it for a certain amount of time and then say, oh, yeah, I broke something like a long time ago.
Yeah, I would say the same. I'd say my option would be a mix of A and B. I'd say ultimately it depends on the significance and value of the item that I broke. If it's like a 50-inch TV, then that's something hard to come clean about, especially if your parents are extremely strict, because you can be disciplined harshly. But if it's something of lesser value, then I'd probably come clean about it.
Personally, me, I would choose choose C because I would feel bad for cheating anyway. Because immediately after I do something that I know is wrong, I know I'm gonna have like harsh guilt about it because I knew it was wrong and yet I still did it.
My answer is C. I don't want the person whose test I was looking at to pick up a consequence for something that I was doing.
My answer is C. You would feel bad and correct the situation. So if I saw their expressions and how they reacted to the teacher scolding them, then I'd feel really bad.
Yeah, I would say the same. I choose C. Now, I've never cheated on a test or looked at anybody's paper, but if I did and I happened to almost get caught and the person I was cheating off of took the fall for it, I would ultimately feel bad, even if I did pass the test, because it would be at the expense of another innocent student.
I would not like to see them getting the punishment that was meant for me. I would correct the situation even though I know there would be a consequence.
Whether or not my friend was there, I probably would be making fun of them. And since they're not there, joke's on them. So I just don't think it's really that big of a deal.
My answer is C. I would apologize and talk about that person's good points. So that person may not be there for a very important reason, and me just gossiping about them isn't cool.
For me, it would be C because I think that when I talk about another person, I would put myself in the state of if someone else was talking about me and behind my back, if someone had found out and told me what was happening, I would feel sad too.
I would say the same option C. I don't really believe gossiping or talking behind people's back, especially when they're not there to defend themselves. So if I did slip up and say something about somebody, I would correct myself.
For me, I would choose C because it was a mistake, and if the dog ran away, I can't blame the dog because it's not the dog's fault. The dog isn't the owner, and the dog isn't watching me. I'm watching the dog. So I wouldn't be hard on myself and say that I'm irresponsible or something. I would just say it was a mistake, and I'll try to be careful now.
Yeah, I would say C as well for some of the same reasons. I feel like in certain situations things are inevitable, so you can't really prevent a dog from running away, or you don't know if it's going to do that or not. It's your first time watching it, so for those reasons I choose C.
I would try to be more careful next time. And I also would I would also look for the dog instead of just being more careful.
My answer is A. I would feel very irresponsible and incompetent because even if it wasn't my fault that my friend's dog ran away, it was technically on my watch. So some of the fault does fall on me, and that's just like, oh, come on. You were supposed to be watching them. Like, how'd you let that happen? Yeah, I'd feel really bad.
Did you know that there was more than one version of guilt? Okay, so let me explain. Okay, so look, you got false guilt, right? False guilt is when you feel bad about a situation that you did either one, nothing in, or two, if you did something in that situation, it amounted to nothing. Like the effect was minimal. That's false guilt. Real guilt is like when you know you did something astronomically bad and it ended catastrophically, or you said something out of line that you know you had no business saying and you feel bad about it. Now that's real guilt, right? And nobody really likes guilt like that. So what we tend to do is we tend to block out guilt entirely by saying stuff like, I'm going through a bad phase, I know I'm not the only one who did this, or it's not even my fault, right? See, let me tell you something though. When we make excuses about real guilt, all it does is give the actual guilt more power. That's all it does. It doesn't do us any justice. The guilt is still there. It doesn't go anywhere. So the best way to really deal with the situation is 1, either apologize, 2, make amends, 3, learn from it and be a better person, and 4, forgive yourself. Because if you choose not to acknowledge the guilt that's actually there, all it's going to do is make things so much more worse. And that's not good. And hey, you're going to learn how to battle your emotions even more efficiently by tuning into the next episode of I Have Questions. You feel me? It's your boy Trey, signing off.